Welcome to episode 10 of the Sunday Archive. Finally in double figures. It's a little bit of a milestone for me. How will I feel when we're at episode 50 or episode 100 of the Sunday Archive? I do not know. Whether even we'll even get to that milestone is something only the future can hold. So we'll just start with these videos. I'm going to be talking about a topic, answering your questions from the previous archive video, and talking about briefly what I'm currently watching and reading. In terms of what I'm currently watching, I'm streaming mostly on Crunchyroll and Netflix. I picked up Tokyo Ghoul, the anime, and I'm watching Love Live School Idol Project Season 2. I'm also watching Ore Monogatari, which is probably the number one thing I'm watching right now. But in terms of reading and watching like actual physical stuff, I'm currently in that transitional period where I'm kind of figuring out what to watch next. I'm currently not actually reading anything. I literally finished reading Azue in Winter by Jared Taniguchi a few days ago, and I got some new pickups. Since then I've read One Piece Volume 75, finished that, and now I'm just kind of deciding, what to pick up next out of my backlog, which is actually going to be today's topic, backlogs. The negative and positive things about having one. Mostly positive, because it's always good to have too much of something you're very interested in, or a lot, an abundance of anime and manga. Always a good thing, never a bad thing. It's never a bad thing to have too much of something you really enjoy. But the bad thing about it is, especially in my regards, is that I tend to do a lot of blind buys, and I'm not looking forward to watching a series that I may not enjoy and regretting purchasing it, because that's not something I tend to feel like. Even with Elfen Lied, the actual release of it is actually very good. I actually do have an Elfen Lied poster up on my door there, even though I despise the series. It came with a poster and it was a very nice box set, so the aesthetics of it is something I enjoy. So I enjoy and I'm proud to own it in that respect, because it's something that looks nice on the shelf. But the series itself, I regret buying and watching, and knowing that I spent money on that, and that could have been better spent elsewhere on a series that I know I probably would have enjoyed, is something that I do, does kind of grate on me. So that's probably the least thing, the thing I like least about having a backlog, is that there are potentially anime and manga in my backlog that I might not actually enjoy, and we'll do a review just for review purposes, explaining that. And I tend to find that I do buy a lot of series for the purpose of reviewing, because in doing reviews I get to get feedback from you guys, and it allows me to have like a one-to-one communication between the people who watch my videos, and in doing that, I may get recommendations for similar series, which will inevitably expand my own horizons, for series that I might want to pick up, or the demographics that I want to explore more, especially like shoujo. Shoujo is something that is still no man's land for me. I'm still struggling as to where to start with that. But that's something that I do actually like about having a backlog, is that watching something completely unknown to me, picking up something that looks just interesting based off of face value, it does really allow for growth if you just kind of pick things up blindly, just based on either the synopsis on the back, or just the art style of just the box. And if it's a hit or miss, then it's a hit or miss. But more often than not, I do tend to find that blind buying definitely works out better for me, because I do tend to find some hidden gems. For example, Inu Asano, I bought his work, What a Wonderful World, completely on a blind buy, and ended up loving it. And that's one of my favourite seinen manga. So it does pay off. Blind buying does pay off, and having a backlog and something to constantly keep you rolling is definitely something I do enjoy. And a backlog isn't something that I will ever be clearing, because I know for certain that I will always have a backlog. It's just completely dependent on how large or small that backlog will be at any given time. Currently my backlog is huge, but I do hope to refine that down, and maybe just have about 5 or 6 series, anime manga wise, that I've got left to watch, and kind of keep that taking over. A backlog is something that will always happen. It's something personally as a collector, it works for me, and it depends on what kind of person you are and what kind of collector you are. There are certain people I would recommend and encourage to do that. But if you're more of a safer, more responsible buyer, like others, then that's probably not the best thing to do. If you're more secure, insecure with you, not necessarily insecure with your money, but more. It's not about being mature with your money or responsible with your money. I wouldn't consider myself irresponsible because at the end of the day, bills come first. We live in a real hard world. Anime manga isn't a priority to me, even though I buy a lot of it. But with that in respect, money that I do tend to have left over usually goes on anime and manga. Not so much these days, as you can probably tell if you watch my videos on a regular basis. I don't often do monthly hauls anymore. They're few and far between. I tend to do kind of like 3 monthly hauls and like talk about things that I've bought in the last 3 months, and that's probably how it's going to be for the duration for the next couple of months. I don't know how long. Because money's just going elsewhere. At the moment, I'm actually saving up for a motorbike, which hopefully I'm going to be getting soon. And there's other things, other things are just taking a priority at the moment, like saving up for a holiday and things like that. But yeah, having a backlog is actually it's worked out pretty well for me, and I do enjoy looking on my shelves and kind of thinking to myself, I might watch that next, or I might watch this next, I might watch that over there, I might watch that over there. I have a lot of options available open for me, and I'm never stuck for something to read or watch. As I am now in that transitional phase between reading one series to deciding what to read next. Usually what I do, I just choose what next series I'm going to read completely on a whim, or what series I'm going to watch next completely on a whim. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to look on my shelf, and whichever one kind of stands out to me first, I'll just go, right, I picked that out and just stick with that. So yeah, that's where I'm at now. Having a backlog is cool, depending on the kind of person you are and what kind of funds you have available to you. If you're not working, then buying lots of anime and manga is probably not a good idea. But I'm fortunate, so yeah. So now I'm going to answer a few of your questions from last week's video. Okay, so the first question comes from Mono Mino. He asked an interesting question, one that I'm not going to be too quick to answer, unfortunately, but what do you think of the creative style of Studio Shaft, and in particular the director Akiyuki Shimbo, who works on Madoka Magica? As it is a very split topic, and I'm very interested in your opinion now that I've developed my own opinion after watching the Monogatari series by them, which I highly suggest. Maybe extremely dear, but with its rewatchability, it is worth it. The Monogatari series is definitely something I'm wanting to invest in. However, I don't really think I've watched a lot of Shaft series. I don't really watch anime. I'm not caught up to the new release and things like that. I do have F: A Tale of Memories by them, which I haven't yet watched, and I do also have Puolamaki Madoka Magica, which also is something I haven't watched. But one thing I'm aware of is that they do have a very unique visual aesthetic when it comes to their art style and the way they use cinematography, and I have heard myself very split views with the stylings of Studio Shaft. But unfortunately, I'm unable to disclose my opinions on them as a production company yet, because simply I do not have an opinion because I just haven't seen enough of their library to be able to base an opinion on them. Maybe this is something I could do in the future, where I'll make videos on a particular animation production company. So sorry to disappoint. I would have really loved to have answered that question, as it's a very interesting question, but I'm just not equipped, in all honesty, to answer that, because I'm predominantly a manga guy. But thanks for the question anyway. Maybe sometime in the future I'll be able to better answer that question. The next question is from Fluffy Roundabout. I absolutely love this question. It's very simple, but it's a very, very good question. If you had 3 wishes, what would they be? Okay, so probably my first wish would be that manga and anime was more accessible in the West. By that I mean more series were available, or potentially all series were available, and at a relatively good price. And I wish that the industry was much more successful, and potentially there would be a lot more job possibilities within that industry, because I would love to work in an industry, especially like an animation industry, or working with editors and things like that, for manga, or just like work for like a publisher or something like that. But it just doesn't have the backative financially or culturally, in the West. But so yeah, that would definitely be one of my wishes, that manga and anime was more profitable in the West, I guess you could say, which would in turn make more series available. My second wish would be a very selfish wish. Well, I guess it could be perceived as selfish, but I would use it selflessly, in that I wish I was super rich, not just for my own personal gain, but so I could also influence the world in positive ways. Just the typical things like stopping hunger and homelessness, and opening more schools, helping with social reform, just the typical things like that. I would like to use a lot of money in positive ways to help people less fortunate than myself. The final wish would be, usually people say 3 more wishes or an unlimited amount of wishes, but that would get incredibly boring. So I would just choose a final wish and make just 3 wishes be the end of it. And my final wish would be actually superpower. I wish I had the power to basically transfer myself to any anime world that I would like to go to. This actually kind of ties part and parcel with another question I'm going to be answering, but I'd really like that. If I could transfer myself to some fictional universe and just kind of spend an unspecified amount of time, however much how much time I wanted in an anime world. You just like go on there on a holiday, book some time off of work and spend 2 weeks in the Pokemon world or something. I don't know. I think that'd be a cool power. Next question comes from Hashim Durrani. My question is, how old were you when you started collecting manga on a serious level? I think it was about 17. I started collecting manga when I was 13 or 14, if I remember rightly. But once I got my own income, I was in control of my own money. So any leftover money I had would go on manga volumes, mostly Naruto at that time. But yeah, I think it was about 17 when I started collecting on a like as a serious hobbyist. Next question from Immortalium. What are your favourite Western TV series and novels? In terms of novels, I like autobiographies. I've got a few autobiographies. Slash from Guns N' Roses, Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers. I really like that one. What is it called? I've actually got it there. I can't remember what it's called, but it was a good novel. Well, autobiography. And probably the first autobiography I read was the 3 autobiographies from Dave Pelzer about him growing up as a child and him being abused by his mother. It was a really harrowing experience. Really sad story that man went through. Sad life he's had. It's just an eye opener. So I do like reading non-fiction. I'm not a big fan of fiction unless it's something that's grounded in reality. I tend to leave all my fiction or my fictional stories with my manga. Most of the manga I read is fiction. But if I'm reading a novel, then I'd rather it be non-fiction. In terms of Western TV shows, I don't really watch TV series to that. I used to really big on Friends, like sitcoms and things like that. But again, I prefer documentaries, things that are grounded in reality. I like a lot of dispatchy documentaries. I like watching, funnily enough, the news. I like to know what's going on in the world. I like things like Top Gear. I'm not big on cars and driving and things like that, but I did used to like Top Gear, and particularly the specials where they would go on like road trips and things like that, like through Vietnam or Africa and things like that. I'm actually currently watching The Long Way Round with Ewan McGregor and his buddy. His name escapes me, but it's just like a motorbike road trip. There's 2 series, one where they circumnavigate the globe, start in London and end in New York. And then the second series is The Long Way Down, where they start, I believe, somewhere in Scotland and then go all the way down, all the way through Africa, through Europe and then through Africa, all the way down. I haven't watched that one yet, but I'm watching The Long Way Round. I really like Breaking Bad. I need to watch Better Call Saul. I haven't started watching that yet. But in terms of actual dramas and things like that, it's not something I really, invest in. It took me a long while to get into Game of Thrones, but I'm glad I've picked that up now. I do need to actually catch up. I think I've actually told you before I'm into Game of Thrones. But yeah, most of the things I watch on TV, as and when I watch TV, which is very rare, are documentaries. Next question is from One Pisu. I like how you spelled that. How's your experience being with anime and manga games? That's the first question. Generally, I do enjoy anime and manga games. If it's a franchise that I'm really into, for example, Dragon Ball Z or Naruto, then I will really enjoy the games because I'm already playing as characters who I'm already invested in, and I'm playing a story that I already enjoy. I've played a lot of Dragon Ball Z games from ever since the PS1. First game Dragon Ball Z related I played was I can't remember the name of it, but I think it was a Dragon Ball GT game. It's just a fighting game. That was really great. I never owned it. It was something my friend had, but I really enjoyed that. And then when I got PlayStation 2, I got all like the Budokais, the Tenkaichi Budokais, played all of them on PS2. And then when PS3 came, I played Burst Limit, didn't enjoy it, and since then I haven't picked up a Dragon Ball Z game, but I am going to be getting Xenoverse because people just keep recommending the crap out of that to me. I've played a few Naruto games, like the Ultimate Ninja Storm games, but I never caught up to them. I did play, to be honest, I haven't played since Ultimate Ninja Storm 2, so yeah, I'm not up to date with those, but I did enjoy them as and when I was playing them. Played Ni no Kuni. That was actually, I think, the first JRPG I played, funnily enough. Enjoyed that, from what I played. But in terms of JRPGs, that's something I'm not very well versed in. I've never really gone out my way to play a JRPG or a Pokemon game for that matter. I've actually explained, I've had conversations with a few subscribers already that I never really grew up with like computer consoles or anything like that. Which never affected me in a negative way because most of the time I was just out playing with friends. I was a very extrovert like kid. I was always out, and it's only really been in like my teenage years where I've kind of like gotten more kind of introvert, and wanted to kind of spend time with myself and to kind of like do my own kind of thing. So I'm a little bit a mixture of both. Like I'm more of an ambivert. I can be extrovert at times, introvert other times, and my introvert self kind of prefers to kind of play games and things like that, computer games. So yeah, generally positive experience when it comes to anime manga related games. Your next question was played. Have you played anything? Yeah, I've already answered that. Is there a manga anime you'd like to see being made into a game in a particular way? Yes. I'd love to see One Piece made into an RPG, like a proper, like tooth and nail RPG where you have to put in hundreds and hundreds of hours worth of time. I can see, there's been like a few like mini games, like on the App Store that are One Piece related that that got like leveling up systems and things like that. But and that's another thing as well. I've actually played the One Piece Kaizoku Mozu game as well, but only the first one, which was more of like a beat 'em up kind of hack and slash game sort of thing, which I enjoyed. But I would definitely like a tooth and nail RPG, like One Piece. I think that'd be absolutely awesome. Next question comes from Split Screen Life. This is a question I've actually answered in a live stream before, which is a very interesting question. I do like talking and answering these questions. If you could travel to a fictional manga universe for a day, where would you go? For example, One Piece World, Hidden Leaf Village, Gundam Universe to chill with Shah. You'd have to pick one. You can say a bunch. So yeah, I'll answer it the same way I answered it in the live stream. If I was ever going to go to a manga universe that features like superpowers and things like that, then I would at least like to be a powerful character. As being a character, for example, in like the One Piece universe. The One Piece universe is a very interesting universe, but if you're just a fodder character, then your life is going to suck. You're not going to have a very good day. But if I had like a devil fruit, or was like a pirate, or a marine, or a part of the Revolutionary Army or something like that, it'd be really fun. There's so much stuff to do in the One Piece universe. Same could be said with the the Naruto universe. Being a ninja would be cool, but being a fodder character would not. So what I would mostly like to do, if I had no choice as to what kind of character I would be if I went to this universe, if I just went to the universe as just like myself, just a normal human character, then I would like to see go to a universe that's like safe, you know, where I'm not going to get blown up by, you know, Spirit Bomb or something like that. So I'd really like to go to the Pokemon universe. It seems so friendly. You know, just kind of go around, you know, just collecting Pokemon for a day, battling them, you know, going to a gym and, you know, leveling up, you know, your Pikachu or whatever. I don't know, I'd love to be like a Pokemon trainer. I think that'd be totally awesome. And the final question comes from Net1340. Very interesting question. Is there any series you refuse to pick up? If so, how many and why won't you pick them up, excluding really expensive titles? That's his first question. Yes, there are probably dozens and dozens of series that I refuse to pick up. Basically, any series that focuses on ecchi. So, for example, High School DxD. I would never pick up Fairy Tail because I know it's so heavily driven on fan service, sexual fan service. I do not like sexual fan service. If I buy into sexual fan service, then, you know, I'm basically being used as a tool, I feel, by you know, by the people who are distributing that, because they're using sexual fan service to market that, and I don't like being used as a tool like that. I'd rather buy something that I know I'm going to enjoy. I just don't see the point in ecchi. If you're going to watch or read something that's, you know, heavily focused on ecchi, then from my perspective, you might as well just be watching porn. You might as well just go on Pornhub and watch porn. So yeah, you know, anything to do with ecchi is not something I'll buy. I have one exception in that, you know, I have actually bought the High School of the Dead full colour omnibus, but that was mostly for collector's purposes because it's such a beautiful, such an aesthetically beautiful book in itself. It's full colour, fantastic quality, and it's hardcover, and it comes with posters. And I like zombies, but the story, you know, it did nothing for me. Even as a zombie story, which is zombies, I absolutely love anything with zombies in. It's not something I enjoyed. I got no thrill from it at all. But I did enjoy looking at it just aesthetically. So yeah, anything with ecchi in it or something. If it's got fan service in it, but fan service is just something that complements the story, you know, every now and again, and that's absolutely fine. But if it's something that focuses and is just the driving force of that series, then I will all out avoid it. I won't even give it the time of day. So yeah, that's that. Final question. Also, why do you move filming locations? Yeah, new one if you haven't noticed already. It's completely dependent on where my computer is at the time. I'm actually doing a bit of refurbishment in my house, so the computer which I'm literally filming on right now needs to kind of move around just to compensate for any, you know, parts of the house that I'm actually doing refurbishments in. I'm doing a lot of DIY. I've actually just taken out one of the walls downstairs to make my kitchen and living room into one, and put like an arch in, that's actually where the computer was before in like some previous videos, but now it's upstairs in my bedroom. So yeah, you know, that's pretty much why. And also because I need to invest in a new camera, which is actually what I prefer recording on, as the digital SLR that I had broke and it was expensive, super expensive. So I'm actually just recording on my webcam, and it's a good webcam, it's okay, but I do prefer to record on video because I've got more control of just basically, you know, the camera settings and things like that. So that's it for this Sunday archive. Thanks for watching. As is standard, ask me questions for next week's video. Anything you want me to discuss. Yeah, I'm open to ideas. I always have ideas kind of going around in my head. If you know, sometimes I get like a bit of a mental block, as everybody does. But yeah, thanks for watching. Sayonara.